Good afternoon, Stampers. It's Debbie with Stamp with Debbie. I'm back, hopefully in the right direction this time. If you're just joining me, our video was sideways, and I'm hoping that I fixed that. Yep, I sure did. Yay! Okay, so if you're watching me live, I hope that you will leave a comment below just to let me know you're here. And I don't make comments during the video because I get too distracted and then I forget what I'm doing. So rest assured, if you leave a comment throughout the video, I will go back afterwards and leave you a comment. Or if you had a question about a product or how I did something if you didn't quite catch it the first time. So I'm just going to do a little bit of adjusting to my light, as always, while I'm waiting for people to join me. And hopefully that helps just a little bit. All right, again, today I'm going to be using Birds of a Feather. It's a stamp set that is in the holiday catalog. And if you have your catalog, it's right here on page 50 down at the bottom. And it does have a bird for every season. There's this little chicken up here, and you definitely could use her for anything. But that's for Valentine's Day, sending love. There's this little bird over here for Christmas. And then this little duck here for Halloween cards. And then, of course, the turkey. And it's got some little stars up at the top. So today I'm only going to be focusing on the turkey because I want to show you so many times Thanksgiving kind of gets overlooked. And I know this year we're celebrating at my daughter's house. She has a new house and she wanted to host Thanksgiving. So I'm going to make some treats and dress up the table this year for her a little bit, or give these out as people leave. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So these are the treats we're going to make, and I'm going to show you step by step how to create them. So let's go ahead and get started. And again, as always, if you're new to my video or my Facebook, if you're finding me on YouTube or on Facebook, thank you so much for taking time to join me today, and I hope that you will stop back again soon. And if you have watched me before, thank you for spending some time with me this afternoon. I'm kind of working out a new schedule with some things going on in my life, so I appreciate your flexibility. If you're watching the replay, I hope that you are enjoying the projects, and you can leave comments below even though you're not watching it live, because I will get back to the comments no matter what time you leave them. So let me just show you the projects really quickly. This one is a little box, and I am using a couple of the leaves from this Gather Together. It's actually the framelits that go with this, the dies. And then this is a little box, and I just use one of our little cello bags, and there are some treats inside. So that's the first one. The second one, again, is in a little cello bag. And there's a little piece of paper to just keep the bag open, and I put some treats inside, and then the little turkey is on the front. And this last one is you lift the turkey up, and behind him is a little Hershey snack size bar, and it just slides right in there. And so those are the three projects. I'm going to start with this one today. And what we need for that, I'm just going to set my stamp sets off to the side. We are going to need a piece of paper, cardstock, and I used crumb cake. And this is cut to 5.5 by 5.5. I also used the stitched shape framelits, and this is an oval in the largest size. That comes with ovals, circles, and squares. And then I used two of the leaves that are from that Gather Together set. And then I also used the smallest layering oval in Whisper White just for this greeting right here. We do need to do a little bit of scoring. Oh, sorry, I also used a little cello bag. And I am using the crushed curry. This is crinkle seam binding. It's in the annual catalog, so I'm going to use that. Let me grab my scoreboard and my scoring tool. So this is a 5.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock, but we do need to score some different lines on each side. So the first side we're going to score at 2 and 3.5, and then we're just going to turn it, and we're going to score at 1.5 and at 4. And that's all the scoring we need to do for this project. Now we do need our paper snips and a bone folder. And we are going to, on this little area right here where there's a square, we're going to cut up to that first score line. And remember, I always cut a little angle. It just helps our project go together a little bit better. Just cut a little triangle out of the side. We're going to flip it around and do the same exact thing on the other side. All right, now we're ready for our bone folder, just to make sure we have nice crisp edges here. And because we're making a box, you're going to want to make sure that you have a strong adhesive. You could use tear and tape, or you can use liquid adhesive, or if you have some fast fuse or something else that's strong, you can use that. So today I'm just going to use a little bit of the Tombow multi-purpose adhesive, and I'm going to put it right on these tabs. I'm going to fold the tabs forward and put it on there. Then I'm going to bring the side up. And I'm just going to bring this other side up. It sometimes works better if you just lay it straight down, because then you know it's level with the surface here. So now I'm also going to do it on these two sides. And just make sure and get the outside edges so that they don't peel away. Bring it forward. And then with the liquid adhesive, you just need to hold it for just a minute to make sure that it's going to stick really well. And then that part is done for right now. I will need to use this adhesive one more time, but that's after I do a little bit of coloring. So I have the turkey stamp, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Memento ink and ink him up. And then while I'm inking, I am going to get the Give Thanks, and I'm going to use the soft suede on this little oval here. I need to pull that back just a little so that I make sure and get it on there. So that says Give Thanks. And so we're done with our stamping. So our box is put aside. And on the other projects, I did go ahead and color the turkeys in, so you didn't have to watch every step. But I did want to show you a few things. So I'll try to talk while I'm coloring. Coloring the inside of the feathers in the Dark Mango Melody. Wanted to make sure that's what I'm really using. Yes, Dark Mango Melody. Now, I'm sometimes talking to you about blending, and we can just use these blender pens, Stampin' Blends markers, to just color in. But a couple of the things I want to show you that you can blend to get a little bit of texture to your stamping. So I'll show you when we get there. So for these, I'm just simply coloring. This is Dark Pumpkin Pie in the Stampin' Blends marker. And of course, when you're using, because this is an alcohol-based marker, you want to use a water-based ink so that you don't bleed. Your stamping doesn't bleed, I should say. So that was in Pumpkin Pie. I'm going to use light Real Red. Is this called a wattle? I can't forget what that's called. Wattles under the chin. I don't know what that's called. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of Smoky Slate. Now, I'm going to show you just real quickly. Hopefully you'll be able to see. I'm taking the dark, and there's a couple different ways to do this. Light is going to be coming in here, so light would be showing here. You want this part to be a little bit lighter, and this side's dark because there's going to be a shadow. So I'm just coloring the dark on there, and I probably should have something under there because these do tend to bleed through a little bit. Now you're going to take the light and start on the side that was not colored in, and when you get to that line where the dark is, kind of just go in a circle. And you probably will be able to see it a little bit better when I get to the actual turkey. So where the two colors come together, you're just going to go in a circle. And I messed up. I wanted to color this little band, the dark Smoky Slate. Now I also need a little bit of the Smoky Slate here on the pie pan. And I won't blend that part. I'll show you some blending on some of the other parts. I am using, let's see, light crumb cake for the pie. And so I'll just go ahead and color that in. And we could do some blending there too, but I don't want it to get too overwhelming. For the pocket on the front, I'm using light Pretty Peacock, and that's the little pocket right here. And then for the apron, I am going to use my Balmy Blue. I'm going to use the light Balmy Blue and the dark. I found originally when I colored this is the dark Balmy Blue. The apron tie kind of got lost in the turkey, so I colored the tie part of it in the dark Balmy Blue, and I'm going to color the actual apron in light Balmy Blue. So while I'm coloring, maybe you could share what you do for Thanksgiving. As I said, I'm going to my daughter's house, and she has a new house, and she's looking forward to hosting the family dinner, and that will be fun that I don't have to cook this year. I can show up as a guest. I'm sure I'll bring something, but she's looking very forward to it. Now, this is the part that I wanted to show you with blending. I am using the dark soft suede and the dark crumb cake. And so this is how I do it. There are lots and lots of ways to do it, but this is how I do it. So the part that I want dark, and again, you have to remember there's a whole technique of light source. I'm assuming the bottom part of his wing is going to be a little dark. Under here is going to be a little dark, and on this side of his wing, we could even do a little bit over here because light is probably coming from the left side, and the right side is a little dark. So when you're blending, you want to make sure to work kind of quickly. So I'm going to, because you want the ink to stay wet. So I'm going to color the part that has not been colored yet. I'm going to go over that dark color, and where it's dark, I'm just going to roll little circles until that blends in. Now you don't want to keep blending. It's going to look a little bit lighter. I'm going to do the same thing over here until the ink dries, and then it's going to blend itself in a little bit. Because if you keep blending like, oh, that's too dark, nope, that's too light, you're going to end up making the whole thing darker, and then you're not going to see any of your shading because you're just going to keep going over and over it. So I've colored over the whole thing. Now down here, I'm hoping you can see, I'm just gonna, where I colored that little bit of dark, I'm just gonna kind of keep rolling it in a circle and roll it out a little. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on his wing here and roll it up into the wing a little bit so that it blends it out. And so hopefully you can see, this did get a little lighter here, so I'm gonna color up in his head a little bit. Hopefully down here you can see the end of his wing is a little bit darker. Down here is a little bit darker on his wing. So we can do that to, now this one is pretty dry now. So this is the one I originally did. You can see there's a little dark here, a little dark under here. And so that's how you get that. All right, so we're ready to go ahead and assemble our box. I like to put the tab that's to the back, or the tab that came over. I like to put that towards the back of the box and keep this clean. Now I'm going to just use a little Tombow adhesive and put this right on here, but I'm going to hold it up just about maybe a ½ an inch because I want enough room for the leaves. So I'm going to put a little adhesive here in the center. I'm just going to center it on the front of my box there. And then, as I said, I took a couple leaves from that Gather Together suite, and I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on there. Make sure it's really stuck. And then on the second leaf, and it's okay if you cover his feet just a little bit. And then on the back of the Give Thanks, I am going to put a couple dimensionals. And just put that right over the leaf. You'll be able to see it behind. So that part is all done. Now I need to take my cello bag, and I found these Werther's Originals. They're in caramel apple flavor, so I thought that would be good. I'm just going to take a little handful. You want to find something that's not too bulky so that it fits in this size box. And then I'm going to get a piece of the, what is this called? Crinkle seam binding. I forgot already. And I think I have like 6 in here. Because people are really full from Thanksgiving, so they're not going to want a lot of candy. But later on in the night, when all that turkey wears off, they're going to want a little something sweet. And if they didn't host dinner, they won't have any leftover pumpkin pie, so they'll be really happy that you made them this little treat to go. So I'm just tying a little bow here. I'm going to cut the edges off so they're pretty. And then you can stick that right in our box. And there you go. We have 2. So a good start to our Thanksgiving. And you don't have to make all of your treats the same. You could spice up the table a little bit and have a couple different treats. So I'm going to move on to project number 2. And let's do this one next. And this one's pretty simple. I have a piece of cardstock, and this is cut. This is not cardstock. This is designer paper. It is cut at 4 by 3, and we do need to do a little bit of scoring. So I'm going to grab my scoring tool. On the long end, we're going to score at 1 1/4 and at 2 3/4. And when you're doing designer paper, you want to make sure not to push too hard because you will rip right through it. We're just going to fold up on those lines. And I'm going to open up my cello bag here. And kind of force this down inside so that it forms a box on the bottom. And for this one, I decided, I did Reese's peanut butter cups in my other one for the sample. This one I also found Hershey caramel apple. Yes, they're delicious. You know I have to always try them for you. And so I'm going to put those down inside. And then I'm going to get another piece of that seam binding. And for this one, I told you that I already colored, so you didn't have to watch me do it again. I punched a little hole in the top, but first I'm going to kind of gather my bag. And tie it. Then I'm going to feed this piece of the ribbon, just kind of fold it in half through that little hole. I just use a handheld punch to do that. And then I'll just tie it one more time and then tie a bow on the top. All right, and I want to make it so the bow is not quite so big, and I'm going to use my paper snips one more time. Give a cute little edge. So there you can see that one and this one. And if you wanted to, on this bag back here, you could stamp the give thanks and put it on there. So here is project number 2. And you can see I used the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups inside of that one. The last project, of course, is this fun little turkey. And again, I colored it already so that you didn't have to watch. We do need to do a little bit of scoring again. We're going to start with a piece. I'm using Pretty Peacock, and this is 5.5 by 4.5. We do need our scoring board, of course, and we're going to just make 2 score lines. We're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 2 and 2 1/4. And that's it for that. And we want to use our bone folder and just score those lines or burnish those lines really well. And that, because we scored so close, is going to make a little pocket right there. We need a piece of designer paper, and I'm using, this is from that Gather Together Suite. It has the pumpkins on the back and the check. I don't know if that's, I guess that's gingham on the back, and I'm just going to put some adhesive on that. This piece is cut at 4 inches by 1 3/4, and I'm just going to put that right on the front there. And then I did do the stamping there, but I am going to do some stamping on this one with the Pretty Peacock ink, just so it coordinates with the rest of the project. Whoop, that's a little high, but that's okay. And then the other thing I'm using for this one is some of the braided linen trim, and I'm just gonna do a little bow. And while I'm trimming my bow, I want to remind you that if you place a $30 order through my online store, and I will leave a link above when the video is over, I will send you the make and take projects for this kit. Now you will need the stamp because I cannot stamp the images for you, but you can use another stamp, or you can get this one and you'll have plenty of time before Thanksgiving. So let me just, this is my holder to qualify for me to send you the make and take projects. It's 7D7SUKFR. And you'll just visit my store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. And your order does need to be $30 before shipping and tax. And so I'm just going to leave this here in case I said that too fast while I keep working. Now, on this little edge that we put the designer paper on the back, we're going to put 3 dimensionals. And then what you need to do is, I don't know if it's, you officially need to peel that backing off, but I'm going to. Now we're going to put another dimensional right on top of that. All right, and we're going to peel the backing off of that. You guys, I just had this random thought. I know Thanksgiving is first, and I'm trying really hard to celebrate Thanksgiving. I know Halloween is next week, but you know, our minds are always going to Christmas. There's only like 60 days left. I think it's today, exactly 60 days until Christmas. That blows my mind because for me, when Halloween gets here, it's just a mad rush, and I'm trying to avoid that. I try to avoid that every year by getting my stuff stamped and my little goodies I want to give to people done up earlier in the year. So when the holidays get here, I really can just relax a little bit. And I hope that you will be able to relax too. I don't like hectic holidays. I like it to be peaceful and fun with family and friends, and I hope it's that way for you too. So while I was talking, I built up the same on this side, 2 dimensionals, 3 wide, and then you're just going to close it up, but be very mindful of that little edge. So it's going to come together like this. You're going to have a little pocket right here, okay? I also put dimensionals on the back of my Give Thanks greeting, and that little bow we made from the braided linen trim, we're going to add that on here with a glue dot just to give it a little more texture. I love texture. Now we need to put the turkey on here, and I'm just going to add him with a dimensional. Now, how I did mine is go ahead and place it inside that pocket, and then I didn't want my wrapper showing, but I also didn't want my turkey way up over the card, so I kind of eyeballed it. Stick your dimensional right on the candy bar. And now a little teeny bit of my tag is showing, but not too much. So there are the 3 projects. Leave me a comment and let me know which one is your favorite, which one you might be most likely to make for Thanksgiving favors this year. Again, this is my host code, and if you go to my online store and place an order of $30 or more, I would be happy to send you the make and take projects for these kits. I'm so happy that you stopped by today, and if you're watching me through YouTube right now, through the replay, please click subscribe so that you don't miss any of my videos, and come on over to my Facebook group at facebook.com/stampitwithdebbie. I hope that you have enjoyed this project. Give it a thumbs up, give it a heart, give it something so that I know you loved it today. And I will be sharing some more projects. Oops, I almost forgot. Before we leave, I wanted to show you with this stamp set. I think I've shared these before, but just in case not, this is a card that I created with this stamp set. So I just wanted to show you some different options really quick. This is a Thanksgiving card. This one is, of course, a Halloween. And then this one, just sending love. So it doesn't have to be Valentine's Day. It can be any time. I'll post a picture of these cards as well over in the Facebook group just so that you can see. And of course, there'll be a link to the video so you can watch the replay and recreate these projects anytime you're ready to do that. Thank you once again for joining me, and I will see you again next week with 3 more projects. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.